drop in, do 20 to 30 minutes of breath work. And it makes lovemaking amazing. You know, I'm convinced that I think 4 of the best ways to make like a kind of like a hard, resilient human being is breath, hot, cold, and kettlebells. So my sons and I, we do breath, hot, cold, and kettlebells usually 3 to 5 days of the week. You know, typically I'll drag them out to the gym. You know, typical workouts for us are very simple. You know, like our workout a couple of days ago was just basically a ladder, 1 swing, 1 hand release push-up, 2 swings, 2 hand release push-ups. We'll work our way up to 20, work our way back down if we have a little bit more time. Head over into the sauna that's been warming up, do a breath work session, jump in about, 32, 35 degrees of water for a couple of minutes while we do some box breathing. And a lot of times the breath work that we do is in the sauna, so we're getting the heat as well. But those are 4 things that I really try to prioritize from a physical standpoint with my sons every week is heat, cold, breath work, and some kind of unstable object like a kettlebell. Sometimes we use sandbags and stuff like that too.
What does the breath work look like when you do the breath work in the sauna or the cold plunge? And what is the benefit of temperature? What have you found the benefit to be for hot and cold?
Oh, yeah. A great question. So what it looks like is our sweet spot is about 15 to 20 minutes for breath work. And for us, like if we've done a workout, usually we'll finish a workout. So usually we'll do this right before dinner. So we'll finish up around 6:30, 6:45, throwing some kettlebells around or whatever. And then we'll dip into the sauna inside, which has already been warming up. We'll just flip it on before we hit the gym. And I use an infrared sauna. So it hits about 155, 160, but because of the, those light photons, particularly from the far infrared, penetrate pretty deeply. You'll open up a pretty good sweat, similar to what you get from a dry sauna. And I think the other setup that I really like, because I'm probably going to be moving to Idaho soon, and I'll probably do this setup at my Idaho place, is like a big old dry barrel sauna, but then take some heat resistant red lights in there. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, like the super intense dry heat of the sauna, but you can still drag some red light in there. But right now I use a Clear Light brand sauna. So we get that thing jacked up. We go in there, and we have a lot of little, like every year for the past 3 years, I brought my sons typically in one of the first months of the year, like January, February, March, I bring them to a breathwork course just to teach them how to breathe properly, add a few new breathwork technique feathers to their cap, so
is there a specific coach
breathwork or
like the,
well, no. So the ones we've done the past 3 years was we did Niraj Naik. I really like him. You guys should interview him sometime. He goes by the name of the Renegade Pharmacist. Ooh. And he's used to be a DJ and also a pharmacist actually. So he knows a lot about the physiology of breath work. And he puts together some really good tracks that are anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. And he has some good trainings online. So I brought my sons through that one about 3 years ago. I brought him through one by another guy named Josh Trent. He has a podcast called the Wellness Force Podcast, I think it's called. And he had a good program that I brought my sons through. This past year, I brought him through basically this new app that just came out. I think it's the best breathwork app right now out there. That one's called Othership. And Othership has courses and breathwork routines ranging from very quick 2 minutes just for a quick charge me up during the day, all the way up to these deep psychedelic, holotropic 75-minute breathwork sessions. And that's the one that we use right now. We do about 15 to 20 minutes on that Othership app. Typically we'll choose kind of one of the more invigorating upper sessions. It's a lot of Wim Hof style stuff, a lot of pranayama style techniques, a lot of holds, a lot of CO2 tolerance, a lot of oxygen deprivation, a little bit of box breathing. They do have nighttime relaxation sessions, but we kind of like the more invigorating stuff. And then we're usually kind of sweating by the time that we finish that, but about 3-4 times a week we're doing that. And then about 2 times a month, we drop into the sauna, we lay flat on our backs, and we do the full on 60-minute long breath work sessions. Wow. And I mean, not only do those things get you, high as a kite, if you're looking for more of kind of that self DMT release and to really go to a place that just totally shifts you into an elevated state of consciousness using your own breath, using your own physiology. But they're also wonderful for developing heat tolerance and focus in kids. And the other thing, they don't even know this, but they're going to be great at sex when they're older. They're very happy wives because not only can they make cinnamon rolls, but they're learning a lot of pelvic locks. They're learning a lot of like tantric-esque techniques. They're learning a lot of techniques that are very correlative to like the multi-orgasmic male type of teachings on where you do the lock right before you're about to ejaculate, keep it in the body, and still experience the orgasm sensation. And so a lot of these breathwork techniques transfer to sex as well, which is also what I like about that other ship app. It has a couple partner sessions, and those are usually 20-30 minutes, and oh my gosh, like if you have the time for foreplay, you just hook those things up to a Bluetooth speaker in the bedroom or whatever. And my wife and I like to do those here and there. Sometimes we'll do like a little like a ketamine or an oxytocin nasal spray, and then drop in, do 20 to 30 minutes of breath work, and it just makes lovemaking amazing, because all that breath work you do leading in during foreplay, you kind of keep doing while you're having sex. And I'm convinced that sex is about one of the most sacred, special things that two human beings can experience, and from a spiritual standpoint. And because breath is also so spiritual, the two go together like turkey and cranberries, I guess. So anyways, back to my sons. That's what our breath work looks like. And then you asked about the temperature for the cold. And really with cold, what it comes down to is the colder the water, the less time you need in it to get the benefits. So we go pretty cold. We have one of those cold tubs that we keep between about 32 to 35 degrees. And we'll either go jump in that for about 2 minutes, or we also have like an above ground pool that I just don't heat. And so most times of the year, that thing's anywhere from 40 to 55 degrees. So we'll sometimes just go swim around in there for a little bit longer time, like 4 to 6 minutes. And so, that's what it looks like.
You mentioned the breathing having like a DMT-like effect. I imagine that you've taken DMT before, right?
Power Project family, how's it going? I want to tell you guys about the legendary Tasty Pastry. And we've talked about Ben and Jerry's and snacks and stuff on the podcast, but those can go against your goals. They can be too calorically dense, and they can really make you crave more bad foods. But the crazy thing about the legendary Tasty Pastry is that it's 20 grams of protein and 5 grams of net carbs and 180 calories, and they taste amazing. You guys need to check them out. They have tons of flavors. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yeah, and the other thing, they passed the kid test. Kids love these things as well. Head over to eatlegendary.com and at checkout, enter promo code POWERPROJECT to save 20% off all the tasty pastries, all the nut butters, all the almonds, everything. Again, eatlegendary.com. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
Well, taken. I mean, not like orally, but I've smoked it. Yeah.
Right. And then, so in comparison, did that feel similar, the breathing?
Well, you get similar sensations. I mean, let's face it, it's not going to blast you off like a rocket ship to the moon, like inhaling DMT will. But I mean, arguably, I think that natural release that you get from the pineal gland via things like breath work, gosh, how do I explain this? I mean, it's kind of like, how do you build more character, and how do you appreciate what you're getting out of it more? Getting dropped by a helicopter on the top of Mount Everest, or hiking Mount Everest, or having somebody drive you in their Tesla to the finish line of an Ironman triathlon, or actually doing the freaking thing. And I think anytime you achieve an altered state of consciousness through hard work, there's a little bit more of a character building payoff. And, I'm not one of those guys who says that there's no shortcuts and you can't hack your way to get to anything. But I think at the same time, like for me, it feels more rewarding. But compared to smoking DMT, it's very slight. It's a little, a lot less of an out of your body experience. But I mean, to be honest with you, like, I'll shoot straight. I freaking hate DMT. Like, I don't even like it. Like, I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way that it just basically just strips me completely out of my body. I don't like some of like the darker sensations I get out of it. But that same molecule, when released naturally in my body, in still relatively high amounts via breath work. And when I'm sitting in that space, on a long exhale, especially during those longer sessions when I'm like 45 minutes in and I'm able to hold that exhale sometimes for like, 3.5, 4 minutes, that silence and the space that you find in that silence and the fact that you're a little bit more lucid and a little bit more receptive and open and aware of messages that you're getting in that silence, either messages from God or visions that you might experience or downloads that you might experience. These are all things that you can leave a breathwork session and immediately go journal and write down. Sometimes when you're using DMT or some other slightly more hallucinogenic or psychoactive substances, sometimes you don't even remember. Like you know that you had something important happen that you were supposed to remember or some message that you got, but you're just so freaking out of it. You can't even go write it down in a journal,
Wow. So we mentioned DMT, but Mark, myself, and even Andrew's dabbled a little bit, I think, but we've messed with psilocybin before. And I'm curious because you were mentioning that it would be more ideal. Like a lot of people find these substances and they want to use them as an escape of something or to get to another state without doing personal work before. But I'd imagine that you do use psilocybin quite a bit. What uses do you find that it's maybe useful for you, or is it even useful for you? I'm not sure.
Psilocybin is certainly something that I've used before. I wouldn't say I use it a lot. I might microdose with psilocybin, maybe 3 or 4 times a month. On like a day where I need a little bit more creativity, I'll certainly use something like the Stammet stack and take a half gram or so of psilocybin with a little bit of like a blood cell or a blood flow precursor like niacinamide or niacin or even like sildenafil or something like that. And then the lion's mane and the psilocybin. And that's really nice, for something for which you'd want increased sensory perception or increased creativity, like either a hike in nature or a really intense like worship, prayer, song session, which I'll sometimes do, especially in the morning, just, going before God for an hour or so and going really deep. It can even be nice for like a hard workout or for a really good creative writing session where I'm juggling a lot of book chapters and just need to be able to step back and see the forest for the trees, but then also be able to dive in and creatively tweak and edit each chapter. So, those would be some use cases for it. I would say that I very seldomly will use what many would refer to, as more like a trip dose, where I'll take 3, 4, 5, 6 grams. I've done that before, with a good journal and a mask and a good track, and have been able to have business or personal breakthroughs that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to have, and for those type of things, just because sometimes you're kind of laid out a little bit, I'll just put on a digital recorder and record what I vocalize during those sessions. And then later I'll transcribe that recording and, get access to some of the things that I voiced when my ego was set aside and I was in a little bit more of an elevated or altered state of consciousness, because you do think, differently when you're on these type of.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what you liked about it. All right, share this with a friend. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and also we are on Reddit and Discord. All that's down below. All our sponsors and everyone that supports us down below there too, so you can get whatever you like from us. All right, peace.